Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. It's been a hot minute since I've done an interview, and today I have Kelsey Graffis. So we have been following each other. We were just talking about this before I started recording. We've been following each other for a couple of months now. Can't really figure out if she started following me or if I started following her. Either way, I've been following her along this journey. She's quite the character, and she's very inspirational. So I'll go over her bio here quick, and then we'll dive in because I also want to know more about the life of Kelsey. So Kelsey, she's an elementary teacher with a need for what she calls wanderlust. She's a dog mom. She's got a little corgi girl named Harlee. She's a food lover, and she also firmly believes that every woman has a right to unapologetically be themselves. And I love this, and I'm sure this is why I have such a connection with her. So she says that she's hit a rut where she feels like she's lacking something and couldn't quite put her finger on it. After a lot of conversation, soul searching, fear facing, she found herself in the blogging world, which probably is another reason I love her, because I love to write and I love to read. So after she found herself in the blogging world with the right mindset and people, she stepped up, pushed out any limiting beliefs, and began this exciting adventure. So once she realized how much she needed a creative outlet, everything fell into place. She says she has a passion for sharing her journey with you and others in hopes and one day she can help you follow her dreams too. Oh, I love this. I love everything about your bio. Oh my goodness. So welcome, Kelsey, to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited. So let's dive right in. So, like, who are you and what do you do? I know that the bio briefly describes it, but really tell us, who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Kelsey and I teach second grade. I have been teaching for about 4 years now. This is my fourth year, and I absolutely love that age of kiddos. It was really last year when I started to get into the blogging world. And actually, I think that says a lot about how long it took me to find what I needed, because my rut that I speak of kind of happened my first year of teaching. So it's been a journey, but we're here and ready to go. So
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit more about your story. How did you come to find yourself in this rut?
yeah, absolutely. So teaching is hard. And even if you have those people in your life who can uplift you and lift you up, you're not, and I know you believe this too, you're not going to be able to fully be yourself unless you're filling yourself up. They can't do that for you. So my first year of teaching was pretty hard for me. I found myself getting there half an hour before I needed to be there, staying until 5 o'clock or later at night, going in on the weekends, and honestly just kind of fully losing myself in that. And yeah, I was getting my job done and I was showing up and doing what I needed to do, but I wasn't taking care of myself personally. So I kind of lost anything that really made me happy, to be honest. And so I knew things didn't feel right. So I started following some inspirational people on Instagram. I started finding some books. A book that I really loved was The Happiness Project. Was what that really started me on my journey. And truthfully, I could have done a better job of implementing the things I learned from it, but that was what really got me thinking, like, hey, you need to figure this out. So again, just a couple years of doing stuff like that, picking up tools and tips that I learned from inspirational people on Instagram, and just kind of trial and error of what worked for me and what didn't. And I remember there was one moment where my sister and I were just talking about how, like, these people on Instagram who were doing these inspirational things. And I was like, well, why can't I do that? Like, I do this in my daily life. Why can't I be one of those people? So I actually, over a year ago, kind of started a health and fitness strictly Instagram. And I stuck with that for a while. But the thing with that is, as I wasn't being 100% myself. I am very into health. I am very into fitness, but that just isn't my life 100% of the time. So it truthfully got kind of boring for me, and I fell off of it because I wasn't truthfully living the life that I was portraying. And so then again, through that though, I knew that was something that I did enjoy doing, and I enjoyed helping others throughout the way. So that's kind of how I came to have the account that I have now, where I just kind of do life, you know? So
I love that. No, I love that. Okay. So you're a blogger. So tell us what brought you to that moment in your life where you're like, yep, this is me. I'm gonna have one account, share my life, and be a blogger and be an online influencer.
Yeah. So I actually, through one of these inspirational people that I followed on Instagram, I signed up for one of her courses at one point, and then she provided a free call to just talk about how it was going and all of that. And that's truthfully where it started. Like on that phone call, I talked about pretty much everything that I just shared with you. And through talking with her, we were like, hey, this is something that I can do and I can succeed at. So that's really where that started. And it took some time to figure out truthfully who I wanted like to reach on that. And so from there, just kind of decided like that woman who is in that rut that I was in. And so I can help you to get out of that in the way that I did.
I love that. So, okay. Me as an outsider, you make it look so easy. And I'm sure other people following you are like, oh my God, Kelsey has her shit together. She makes this look so easy. So did you have any challenges along the way?
No, I would not say that it's by any means. I think it's easy to like just share my truth. Especially through writing, because one thing that I have picked up in this journey to find myself is journaling. And so blogging is just another way to get that out. Writing posts on Instagram is a way to get that out too, just really whatever's on my mind. But to be honest, like I spend a lot of my free time doing it because I don't have a lot of free time anyway. So it's just, one thing that I do pride myself in is I'm really good at scheduling things out and planning out my week. And so I think that does help to make it easier, that I know that, okay, when I get home from work, I'm going to hang out with my dog for a little bit, and then I'm going to work for an hour or so, and then I'm going to attend to myself and my self-care for the rest of the night. And so having that set schedule really helps to make it a little more smooth. But again, I wouldn't say it's easy by any means.
So did you have any, like, I know a big thing for women, myself included, was, the fear, the anxiety, and the self-doubt. So have you experienced any of those?
Absolutely. And I think too, the biggest time for me with that, it was at the beginning. And I would say that I still do kind of feel some fear about it once in a while. And the weird thing is, like, the biggest fear was, what are the people who I know and who I work with going to think? Like, it wasn't these random people who are just going to find me, and follow along on my journey. I wasn't scared of that by any means. But it was like, when they see that I'm doing this, when they hear that I'm doing this, what are those thoughts going to be? But again, I just went back to being authentically myself, and this is me. And so truthfully, if they have a problem with that, then you're not a person I want in my life. So,
and I love that. It's so hard for women to think that, a lot of times I talk to women, and kind of hearing your story too, we always have these fears and anxieties about what other people think of us. And I mean, why do you think that is?
I feel like this is really fitting with just kind of everything that's going on even in our society right now. But I think for the longest time, women were just kind of made to think that they needed to impress others and that there was a certain way to do that. And that's crap. And so I think it's just that self-conscious thing that is embedded in a lot of us, unfortunately.
I think it's too, for me, or for what I see, is it's like society, or like our parents didn't know better. Our grandparents didn't know better because that was just the norm. And so I think there's this new awakening of consciousness within the feminine community, however you want to say that, or just the world as a whole, that, hey, you don't have to be this mold that society thinks you need to. And some people are embracing it, and some people are like, whoa, slow your roll. Like, this isn't normal. Oh, I love that. And so you're breaking the mold and you're doing your thing. And I absolutely love that. And maybe that's why I enjoy following you so much too. So, all right. You talked a little bit about, self-care and routine. So what does that look like for you? What is your self-care? What does filling your cup look like on a day-to-day basis?
I am a huge person who needs movement. I need a lot of movement. I need to be active somehow. And I've really found, so side story a little bit, I'm training for my first half marathon because I was like, that's something I want to do at some point in my life. I want to do a half marathon. But I've been terrible with my training, and I've realized it's because I don't enjoy running. I'm not motivated by it. And I've really noticed the difference that makes in my day-to-day feelings. Like, if I want to go work out, I feel like I need to run. And I'm a person who would much rather lift weights or even go for a walk outside. But running has not been my thing. And so then I just end up not going because I'm not motivated to run. And it makes a huge difference in my mood. So this week I finally started to get back on track a little bit, and hopefully that'll help. But that's something that is really important to me. I try to at least once a week take a bubble bath with a glass of wine to just unwind and all that good stuff. I journal. That's a huge thing for me. I journal in the morning, and then again at night. I'll do gratitude journaling in the morning, and then at the end of the day, I just reflect on my day. I've recently gotten into meditation, and I think that's a huge part of my self-care routine now too. I think that makes a huge difference in my day.
Let's take a minute on meditation, because I know that there's a lot of people that have resistance to meditation. Like, oh, I just can't do it. My brain doesn't work that way. I can't sit still for that long. And I was one of those people too. I thought that meditation was for hippie woo-woo people, but really being able to sit with your own thoughts is a very powerful thing. So kind of walk us through what your meditation journey was.
For sure. So this is something that's really new to me within, honestly, really strictly the last couple weeks. But I kind of started to mess around with it this summer, and I'm not to the point yet where I can meditate on my own and just sit. So I have an app, it's called the Insight Timer, and they have a ton of different guided meditations on there. And so I have one that I listen to every night before I go to bed. And then just a quick one for the mornings when I wake up. And I found that just sitting and listening to that, I even do kind of zone out of it for a little bit and am in my own thoughts. So I'm at the beginning of my journey for sure and need to do some more work with that. But I would say that that's a good place to start for someone who hasn't tried it but is wanting to, just because you don't have to guide yourself.
Yeah. And that's where I started too, was with guided meditations. I had a lot of resistance to it in the beginning, but now it's almost like I can't function unless I'm meditating every day.
It's just so, I go into my day in a much more positive way than I would before.
Oh, I 1,000% agree.
Yeah, it's 5 minutes. It doesn't take any time at all. So
Nope, I hear you. Okay, so earlier you had talked about, kind of lack of motivation for running, and I think that the half marathon thing is awesome because that is two on my bucket list. I did a 10K earlier this year, and that's the farthest I've gone, but my next is a half marathon, and I too struggle with the lack of motivation sometimes. I have a love-hate with running.
Yes.
But I want to be a runner, but at the same time, like I hate running, but I have this thing that like I want to be classified as a runner. I don't know why. I just want the label.
I'm not. There will not be another half marathon after this one.
That's the thing. I want to do one half marathon, one real marathon, just to say that I could, and then that's it.
Good.
Okay, so tell me though, because I'm sure this motivation, spills over into other areas of your life where you still push through, even though the motivation isn't necessarily there. So what steps do you take to just get it done?
This is kind of funny. I'm actually working on a blog post about this right now. About
perfect.
Getting out of your rut. Because like I said, I have been in one with running, so I'm working to get out of it. One of my huge things is goal setting. So every Sunday, I actually did it this morning. I sit down and I write out my health and fitness goals for the week. And so I will put that on there. I'll set a goal for, maybe a distance or how many times I'll go throughout the week. And it really makes a huge difference for me to have that on a piece of paper in front of me somewhere where I'm seeing it every single day. Instead of just having it in my mind, oh yeah, I'm going to go for a run this week. And then chances are for me, it's not going to happen. So setting goals is huge for me. And then I like to have accountability partners. I have two really good friends who like to set goals with me every week as well. And so we'll share those with each other at the beginning of the week, and throughout the week check in and be like, hey, I did this, and this today, or I kind of slacked and didn't get this done. But it helps to have that accountability partner there to hold you accountable,
Mm-hmm.
What else?
No, and the accountability partners are huge. So dive into that more, because I know that there's, in my experience, I was, independent to a fault, where I said, I don't need anybody's help. I can do it all myself. But now I find myself that the help of accountability partners, and even writing things down, it's almost like it makes it real. Mm-hmm. So speak some advice or speak some suggestions to those people who are too independent or can do it themselves. Like, what's your advice on having accountability?
That's fine if you think you're going to get through it on your own, but I'm going to tell you you're not in anything, to be honest. The more you keep it inside yourself, the more you're going to, explode in a sense. With my struggles, my first year of teaching, I really kept them to myself a lot. And it came back to kick me in the butt when I ended up losing myself and just fully being into my work and not taking care of myself. So I think, even if it's someone who's not interested in the same things as you are, but someone who will hold you accountable, that's all it takes. And you don't even have to be super open with them. You could just say, hey, for example, using running, I'm training for a half marathon. I want to make it a point to run twice this week. Can I check in with you when I get that done? And they're not going to say no. If there's someone who truly supports you, they're not going to say no. They're going to be there for you and support you in any way that you need. And even if it's through, there's a lot of health coaches out there. So if you're not comfortable sharing with someone who's close to you, go to one of them and see if they can help hold you accountable. If it's outside of health, if it's self-care stuff, there's a ton of therapists, go see them, they're gonna hold you accountable. But it's really important, because I've done it time and time again where I haven't been held accountable by someone else because I haven't told them what I'm working on, and it doesn't get done. And then I'm mad at myself because I didn't do it. And that's stupid. Why, let yourself down when you have what you need right in front of you to lift yourself up.
Yeah. And isn't that so funny? I find that interesting that if we make promises to ourselves, we're almost more likely to not keep those promises. Whereas if we say it to somebody else, it's like, oh, well, I told this person, so I can't go back on my word.
Exactly.
Oh, that's funny. No, I'm the same way. Okay. So I don't mean to backstep, but you talked about some struggles in like your first year of teaching, and so what do you think was your biggest struggle, either with teaching or with blogging? Like, what was the one thing that was the hardest to overcome?
Gosh, that's a good one. I think they kind of play into each other in a sense, I guess, because my biggest struggle was when I was not managing my time in the best way to have time for myself. No one should be at work from 7:00 in the morning till 5:00 at night and on weekends as well. And so I really struggled with that first year saying, well, I need to get this done. This is what I have to do for my job. I can't leave until I have it accomplished. And so each year, actually, since then, I've set a goal at the beginning of the school year where I've said, okay, this year I'm not going to, for example, one of them was take work home Monday through Thursday nights. Even unless it's something that absolutely needs to be done or I'm going to lose my job, I'm not taking it home. Like it's staying at school and I'll get to it when I get to it. And so I think the biggest thing was time management. And so now I've, created this life for myself where I figured out my schedule with school. I figured out my schedule with health and fitness, and I have time to take care of myself and do things that I enjoy and have a blog on the side. And it's a lot of work.
You probably have more time freedom now, though, with the scheduling, right?
Yep.
You have maybe a fuller schedule, but it's almost like you have more free time.
Yep, absolutely.
Or time for the things that you enjoy.
Yep, I have nothing that I absolutely need to do today, which is wonderful.
Except for talk to me, which is fantastic, and I'm so glad you did. Okay, so I love time management. It has been a super game changer for me. I was one of those people that was like, oh, it's all in my head, and I'll just go until I physically make myself ill and yell and scream and hate the world. So I found a planner and some apps that worked for me, but I'm curious on how you found your plan and maybe what are some of the tools that you use to help make your life just a little easier.
I love my planner. It's my best friend. Yeah. So really that, and I make sure that I set a schedule for what my morning and my nights are going to look like. And it's flexible. Like I'm not going to feel awful if I don't stick to it strictly, but it's more of a guideline in a sense of, okay, this is what we're doing from this time to this time. And so that I don't have written out in my planner just because it's something that I have it in a note on my phone, but it's something I do every day, so it's really just in my head. That's a big one for me. And then my plan book, like I said, is my best friend. That's another thing I do on Sundays is I sit down and I plan out the next week. I found this handy dandy one at Target that has a spot on the top for like your 3 top things for the week, like non-negotiables, which I love. And so I'll plan those out at the beginning of the week, and it's nice to just see those up there all week. Like, hey, these are the 3 things you said you would get done this week. Yeah.
No, I love that. And I love Target, and they have so much stuff. And I know I hear too often like, well, I can't find the perfect planner. And it's like, go to Walmart, go to Target, go to Amazon, buy whatever looks appealing to the eye and just work it. Like they all find what works for you. What works for Kelsey might not work for me, might not work for the next person, but you just got to find whatever works for you. So I love that.
Or make your own. If there's seriously one out there that has your needs in it, like just make your own.
I think actually Hobby Lobby has like a section where you can like build a planner.
Believe it.
Yeah. Plus I can't walk into that store without just buying everything.
Another
but that's
Target.
Yeah. That's neither here nor there. So tell me, okay, so what's like the theme for you right now? What's coming up next?
Well, I just recently, kind of goes along with our time management, released a free meal prepping guide.
Ooh.
That's one thing that I have found really helps me to save time and to stay on track. And I've kind of over the last few years perfected the way that I do that. So it takes less and less time each year, which is nice. So right now I'm just, kind of working with that, hoping for a free challenge to be coming up in the future. No set date on that yet, but that's kind of my next step. It's the next thing I'll be working on. So.
Oh, I love that. So you do call yourself Adventuring Kelsey. So kind of explain what the next adventure is or where that came from.
It just kind of originally when it started, it was my ultimate goal. I'm gonna back up here.
That's
my
okay.
ultimate goal would be to, even if it's a year, but take some time off of teaching and just travel. I find that that's a time when I really get to unapologetically be myself, is when I'm exploring new places and trying new things. And even if it's an adventure to the park across the street, to go for a walk, like I just love going on adventures and getting out of my comfort zone and trying new things. So that's kind of where that came from. So right now I would say that the adventure is starting this process of this blog, and I'm still learning it. I've only been doing it for a few months now, so just going along that adventure. And
it is quite an adventure. I don't think quite enough people understand what it takes to be an online influencer or be a coach or be a blogger or be doing these things that you're doing, like even like doing a freebie challenge, like there is or a free like your free meal prep guide, which we will actually put in the show notes in here for anybody that's interested in joining that. But that takes a lot of work and navigating through that.
Soak it up, everybody. Love it. Take it. Do something with it.
Oh, I absolutely love that. No, and that in itself, like becoming an influencer, becoming who you were actually meant to be, is a journey, is an adventure within itself. Like it doesn't always have to be a place. Sometimes that, as much as I enjoy traveling too, like take me anywhere, put me anywhere on the planet and I will have a hell of a time. But sometimes that journey, that adventure is just within ourselves, and that can be just as exciting as seeing any mountaintop or any excursion,
Absolutely.
Oh, I love this. Okay. So what is your advice to women? Like, what's your stance? What's your mission?
Kind of like we said before, like, be you, girl, like be unapologetically yourself. And if people aren't going to accept you for who you are, tell them to get out of your life, truthfully, because you don't need those kind of people. And it's really important to, I think, and this is what I have learned, to not let your work outweigh your passion. And even if your work is your passion, don't let the work part of it outweigh the enjoyment that you get from it. Because that's what happened to me, and that's where I lost myself. I let the work outweigh my passion for teaching kids. And so, just be your freaking self. The world will accept you. There are people who will accept you for who you are.
They will. And you just have to navigate that when the time comes, and being able to decide who gets to be in your life and who doesn't. So have you had to X any people out of your life since you've started this?
Yeah.
And how did that go?
And I don't think it's necessarily, because of what I'm doing. I think there's a difference in the way we viewed the world, and if you're not going to have someone who views it the way that you do, it's not going to work, and it sucks, but ultimately it's for the better, and you just got to keep on chugging along,
Yep. I like to think of it as you're finding your tribe, you're finding your community. And so when you step into what your real self or your authentic self or whatever journey that, God or the universe has planned for you, the doors start opening to the people who need to be in your life. And you almost have to, cut those ties with old people. It's almost like you're releasing the anchor, or you're cutting the weights that are holding you back. And when you do that, you're also creating space for who is supposed to be in your life to openly and easily come into there. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I know a lot of women, especially, we want to help everybody. We want to have friends we want to be friends with everybody. We want to please, like I was a people pleaser. Like I hated when people were upset with me. And, and so it was like, oh, well, if I go on this journey, am I going to upset this person? And it's almost like some of those, I'm going to call them, I don't want to really call them energy suckers, but you know what I mean? Like they're like energy suckers, energy vampires, like those people who are almost like sucking the life out of you so that you can't excel, you can't level up, you can't increase your vibration because of the people who are sucking you back into their small circle, right?
Absolutely.
And so it's a process, and it can be hard, but the freedom, the emotional freedom, the time freedom, the everything on the other side is so
worth it.
Yes. Yeah. And it's a journey that we all have to do. Well, we don't have to, but if you want to step into your authentic self, it's part of the process. And
absolutely.
So tell me kind of what your tribe, what your circle, what your community looks like now.
Like I said earlier, those couple of friends who we have the same mindset on health, fitness. We hold each other accountable. Even I would say like the people that I've connected with on Instagram is my tribe, truthfully.
Yes, it's so true though.
Those are the people who view life and live it the same way that I do. And I do have, a few close friends who live life the way I do, but not exactly like it. And so, I would say truthfully, those girls, those ladies, they get it. They have the same drive that I do. They have the same focus. They're motivated by the same things. They take care of themselves. So
they understand the importance of taking care of themselves. And you, as being a teacher, walking through that path, understand that, when you put yourself last, you're burnt out, you're tired, you're stressed, you're all of these things. And you have this mindset shift. Sorry, I totally botched that. Whereas now, that's just me. I get really excited and then the words don't come. My brain goes way faster than my mouth does, believe it or not. I feel you there. But you had this mindset shift and you're like, oh gosh, well, when I start filling my own cup, then I can just pour more into others. And then, wow, would you look at it? You have this online influence community, you have this blog, you're creating freebies, you're helping other women experience the same thing. And it's beautiful. It's cool. It's super cool to watch. Yes. I get really giddy. I'm sorry. I'm over here like
unapologetically.
That's right. I gotta take our own advice, your own advice. But I'm over here. I'm like, yes. I'm like fist pumping.
I've been like nodding my head almost all the time. So.
I get real riled up. All right, cool. So, okay, my last question before I let you go, or before we start to wrap this up, because I do want to share, how people can get a hold of you, how they can follow you on Instagram, and how they can get your freebies and become part of your community. Because you're an inspiration, you're super motivational, and you're always so happy and positive. And so when I even have I don't have nearly as many down days as I used to, but there's, a certain handful of people that I'm like, I'm going to go to this person's page because I know they got to be up to something cool. And you're one of those people. So I'm happy to say that. But I want to know, if you had a week left to live, like what's on your bucket list? What would you do?
Travel. No doubt. Travel. Australia's number one on my list.
Ooh.
Has been for a long time. And I truthfully don't know why, but I just feel this calling to go there. So
what part of Australia? Oh yeah.
I don't even know, to be honest, because I'm not going to be doing it anytime soon. I need to do some research first.
Not just gonna wing it.
As far as I know, I have more than a week left to live. So.
I love that. Australia is 2 on my bucket list. So
yeah.
All right, cool. Well, I want you to give yourself a little plug. Tell people, what you can help them with, how they can contact you. And then I want to get all of your links and put them in the show notes so that they know they know exactly how to contact you.
Perfect. So my goal is just kind of to help that woman find herself again. Especially, obviously, I have a soft spot for teachers because I can relate to that on a really deep level. But just anyone who feels that they've lost themselves in their job and they're not serving themselves in the way they deserve to, I'd love to have a conversation with you, talk through some of that stuff with you. Obviously, I have my meal prepping guide, so if you're interested in kind of learning how to save time and prep up some stuff, and heck, like when I say meal prep, like I don't mean you have to like weigh your food and be like a super strict like fitness model person. Like if you just want to have food ready for the week, like you can make pizza for all I care, but like let me help you prep it up, So I like to help through that way as well. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Adventuring Kelsey. My blog and website is adventuringkelsey.com. My email is adventuringkelsey@gmail.com. So same name on everything.
Makes it easy for everybody.
Exactly. And my meal prep guide is on my website, and it's also linked in my bio on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time and chatting with me today. I really enjoyed hearing more about you rather than just following you on Instagram.
Yeah, it was super fun. Thanks again for having me.
I feel like I know a little bit more about Kelsey. So everybody go follow Kelsey on Instagram, on Facebook, sign up for her meal prep guide. Go ahead and schedule a call with her and start unapologetically being yourself. And if you enjoyed this episode, I'm going to encourage you to share it with a friend and leave a 5-star review. 2 reasons. If you share it with a friend, they also get this valuable information that Kelsey has provided. You get to grow the community and help another person. And by leaving a 5-star review, it just increases the review, or increases the views. There I go, talking again. Where we can get more women on this show and we can help more women can hear this, see this, watch this. And ultimately that's my goal here, is change our mindsets and help everybody be unapologetically themselves. I am really screwing this up. Sorry, guys. All right, ladies, thank you for tuning in. Go out there and be a badass. Talk to you later.